Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the PodRats podcast and our 11th movie show. Today we got the same crew plus one. We got me, Brayden, Alex, Christian, Hunter, and we also got Parker. Parker, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey, what's up, guys? Glad to be here.
Nice.
Nice. Welcome, Parker.
Everybody congratulate Parker on being with us today. Alex, do we have anything in the world of movies?
Well, Brayden, considering our hiatus, we have quite the list of movie news today. So we're going to start. Actually, I saw the first one. I've not seen the second, but Quiet Place 3 is in the works. This is one that I know that everyone here will be excited about.
Yes.
I just watched the second one.
Yes.
Like 2 weeks ago.
It was pretty good.
It was really good.
Yeah, I think Parker did too, right?
Yep, I actually watched it like a week ago, I think. I really liked it. It was really good. I think it's better than the first one.
I do too. It was really good.
I watched the first 10 minutes with Parker, and then I had to dip. But
First 10 minutes is pretty good. It really hooks you in.
it honestly
and
is.
then, yeah.
when is there like a scheduled release date or anything?
I don't think so. I think they just announced it.
Today is a planned 2025 release.
Damn.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. And then the next one, I did not know about this, but they're making, so I guess in going with the Bohemian Rhapsody, what's the other one they just recently
Rocket
made?
Man.
Yeah, Rocket Man biopics. They're making a Weird Al Yankovic biopic, and Evan Rachel Wood was cast as Madonna. And also, Daniel Radcliffe is playing Weird Al Yankovic.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
I thought that was weird at first, and then I saw a picture, and I was like,
Yeah,
he kind of does look alike.
There's a bunch of
Yeah.
pictures of him like in character. And also, we were talking about it before we started the podcast, but what I was thinking of is I'm pretty sure there's also a Madonna biopic happening.
I think that's what I was thinking about too,
and
Hunter.
that's, because this is the Weird Al biopic, and Evan Rachel Wood is playing Madonna in it. But there's also a Madonna biopic coming out, and she is auditioning to be Madonna in that, which would be pretty crazy.
Dude, it's a whole cinematic universe.
It's a whole biopic cinematic universe.
Yeah, bro, we're gonna have like crosses between like the Marvel Cinematic Universe now. It's gonna be like, bro, did you guys see that Evan Rachel Wood?
She was Madonna in that movie too.
She's just the screenplay Madonna.
I guess so. Until the end of time.
Yeah.
All right, we're just gonna keep rolling through it, man. We got a lot of movie news today. Indiana Jones 5 has wrapped shooting, so this is an exciting one if you've seen the previous 4 Indiana Jones. Although I think last Indiana Jones was what, like early 2000s.
It was like 2010-ish,
was
around
it?
there. Yeah, Shia LaBeouf was in it.
Was it the Crystal Skull one?
Yeah, it was the Crystal Skull.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I haven't seen an Indiana Jones movie in
I haven't seen
so
like
long.
I haven't seen like any of them.
I think my mom showed them to me when I was a kid, and then I watched the first one, The Raiders of the Lost Ark, over and over and over. And I think that's like the only one I ever saw.
Yeah, so this one's featuring Harrison Ford, as you know you'd expect. Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Someone else I know is in this.
Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was in this. Boyd Holbrook, Toby Jones, and Antonio Banderas.
Harrison Ford's getting up there these days, man.
He's old.
He is.
I mean,
an old man.
he looked old in Star Wars, and that was at this point a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
He's 79.
Oof.
I didn't realize he was that old.
Uh-huh.
All right, now we have one of the newest hit blockbusters. A vampire shark terrorizes townsfolk in the new Sharkula trailer.
Is this a fucking Sharknado's
Okay,
type spin?
you know,
What the fuck
Brayden,
this?
The title was great, but I like the one under it where
Yeah.
they say no budget horror
Yeah.
director Mark Polonia is back at it with the new trailer for Sharkula, the next in line of unconventional killer shark movies.
He's known for his no-budget horror movies.
He can make a movie on $0.
Bro, the shark got vampire fangs.
Yeah, that picture is
It's
really
a-
sick. The shark literally just does have fucking vampire fangs.
I will say I have not seen this trailer, but looking at it, this looks like something that a film student would make in like freshman year.
It really does.
I was gonna say they did all their audio on GarageBand because it's free.
Probably.
That's probably right. Yeah.
He was also the editor on a Land Shark and Bigfoot versus Zombies.
Of course.
Hit movie.
The two big blockbusters.
He has 74 editor credits on IMDb, and every single one of them is a title like that.
Who is this? Mark Polonia?
Noah's Shark.
Okay.
Wait, what?
Shark Encounters of the Third Kind.
It's just a bunch of spoof movies.
He just makes spoofs of ridiculous.
It's pretty good.
Sharks
Sharkenstein, Bigfoot versus Zombies.
So he's a shark specialist, is what I'm seeing.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Sharks just sell the movies, man.
Thank God, man. We've had too many Marvel movies. I've been missing out on the Sharknado franchise, you know? The whole Shark cinematic universe.
Perhaps Snow Shark, Ancient Snow Beast.
Really haven't had a good cry in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, this will be a real tearjerker.
He's been doing this for like 30 years, by the way.
Oh my
Started
god.
his first movie was 87.
Jeez.
He's a dedicated man of the people. He gives the people what they want.
Well, he's the shout out of the podcast. Mark Polonia, if you're listening, man. We're probably the only podcast talking about you in a positive light, so.
After we finish our Friday the 13th, we'll definitely get on to the Shark franchise.
Yeah, we'll binge all of them.
All right. Next, we got new Alien film in development from Phoebe Alvarez with Ridley Scott. Ridley Scott producing.
Wiggly Scott.
Ridley Scott. I don't know how you guys felt about Prometheus and the previous Alien movies, but I really like this franchise. I'm kind
I
of
do
excited about this.
Yeah, I like the Alien movies a
I've
lot.
weirdly jumped around because I've seen Prometheus and then the ones after that, which is like Resurrection, and I think there's another one, but I haven't seen the middles. Like I haven't seen Aliens and the one after that, but I've seen the first Alien.
I also have not. So I saw the first Alien. I think I saw Alien 2, and then I saw Prometheus. And I really liked Prometheus, actually. But whenever that one came out in, what was that, like 2012, something like that?
Somewhere
Prometheus?
around
Yeah,
there.
Prometheus. It was like, but yeah, like, I don't know. I'm kind of excited for a new. And plus another Ridley Scott movie, because we didn't get enough of those in the last year.
No.
And I saw on Twitter that this is also not going to be connected to any previous movies. Because I know the Prometheus and then the movies after that, it's like a trilogy with like Michael Fassbender. And he's David, I think that's his name. He's like a robot. But this is not supposed to be connected to it at all. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Nice.
Well, it makes sense too, right? Because I don't
Yeah.
think that like they can really carry on. Like everybody in the original movies
Yeah.
should be dead by now.
The only thing is with like, because like I really like the Alien movies a lot, but I mean with all of the resurrections of the pseudo horror genre that have happened in the last 10 years, every single one of them being bad, it's kind of scary because it could go really bad.
Yeah, it's definitely not a good omen. for this
Especially
movie,
with
but-
Ridley Scott nowadays, it's either good or really bad.
Listen, it's not Ridley Scott's fault.
Yeah,
it's the
true.
kids who are wrong. So.
True.
Yeah.
It's the
It's
kids'
us
fault
Zoomers.
who don't like the movies.
All right. Speaking of people feeling like they got snubbed, the Bond producers felt that Daniel Craig was snubbed for not receiving any awards for the recent James Bond movie.
Yeah, this was cool.
Yeah.
I agree.
I mean, I really enjoyed the movie. I'm not like, I don't know how it compared to, I mean, it was, I think almost all of our top 10s, correct?
I think so.
I think
Yeah.
it was on You and Christians. I don't
It
know if
was for sure
Me
on
and
mine.
Hunter's.
Yeah, it was on mine.
It was.
I really
right
like.
outside
I
my
really
top
enjoyed
10
that
if it
movie though.
wasn't.
Although I will say, after looking at all the like the Academy nominations, I can't say I'm necessarily upset that Daniel Craig didn't get nominated.
Yeah.
But because like I understand why, because it's his last like hurrah for the Bond franchise, and a nomination would be cool just to acknowledge that. But it is what it is.
It's pretty cool because like the producers talked about how, like they're happy to be nominated, but they're just sad for Daniel, and they talked about how Daniel Craig's Bond is just too convincing. He plays it too well, so people don't appreciate it because they just see Bond as him.
I feel like that's fair. I remember bawling my eyes out at the end of that movie, so I really think he should have got something for that. Because I know I wasn't the only one crying.
No, that movie was fucking great, man.
Hey, better yet, there's a Facebook comment on this article. I'm not going to say the name, but it says, they're disappointed. We are disappointed about another spy series. Maybe there should be an Oscar or BAFTA award for the best book not chosen as a TV series or film. It goes on, but you know.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, it was one of those things too, like when I saw that he wasn't nominated, I didn't feel like, oh dang it, where's Daniel Craig? You know?
Yeah.
So it's just like he did a great job.
His performance was really good, but I mean,
all right. Someone introduced a new piece of movie news like last second here. Sorry guys. We have the world's smallest cinema, 13-seat Stratford, Ontario cinema recognized.
A tiny theater in Stratford.
sorry, autoplay.
We got a live news feed from inside the cinema right now.
It autoplayed.
Yeah, there's a new Guinness World Record for the smallest cinema in the world in Stratford, Ontario.
That should be us.
It should be
13 whole seats.
Christian won't dedicate the 30 grand it would take to, change the podcast room into a cinema.
16 square meters.
Yo, those seats are pretty dank.
Yeah,
Wow, those are worse than the art house seats we sat in the MOA,
Definitely.
the Museum of Art.
This looks like the lobby of an urgent care.
it really does. It does,
bro.
Those are literal like waiting room seats
All right.
With movie posters on the wall.
with movie posters.
Yes. Hey, at least it feels homey.
Dude, wait, scroll down and did you see the game?
Oh my god.
The Pac-Man?
Yeah,
Is that what
bro.
that is?
That's kind of sick.
That's not Pac-Man.
Oh,
I don't
okay,
know
what is it?
that
It's a cool little cabinet.
I don't remember what
That's
it's called.
dope.
Hey, yo, why they got the crown molding?
It's like,
on the
yeah, it's like
Pac-Man
a
arcade
game.
know.
Yeah, it's like a game station with crown molding and stuff. Looks like old school.
It looks like an arcade machine from the 1900s.
Also in this tiny room, there's a projector, but blocking a portion of the projector is
Yeah.
the single speaker.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, it's a good
Hey,
point.
bro. The center channel is the most important.
That is a
This
terrible
theater-
speaker
This
placement.
theater fucking sucks. Maybe the smallest, but not the best.
They better not be charging for these seats.
Well, speaking of not charging for seats, did you guys see that Batman became the first movie to allow a non-human audience? In one of the Batman showings, there were bats actually in the theater, flying around.
They allowed it?
I don't think they allowed it. I think it just happens.
Because the bats didn't buy tickets.
No, they did not. They snuck
came
in.
in illegally.
They wanted to see their hero.
They were either protesting or
true.
showing their support for the new Batman movie. We're not sure.
They weren't happy with Robbie's portrayal of themselves.
Dude, that's super immersive.
Yeah, they had to like pause the movie in the theater because they were just flying around.
Yeah, I wonder if during one of the scenes, the bats like played into it.
People
Was
were
it at
like,
least
"Whoa."
like a 4D movie
Yeah.
experience? You're in the
yes. Yeah,
seats,
that'd
but
be-
bats are flying around you.
That'd be awesome.
And in like the video on Twitter, like nobody was like hyped up. Like, dude, if you were watching the Batman and real bats started flying around, I'd be like, "What?" Yeah. It'd be awesome.
All right. And that provides a great segue into this week's movie.
Yeah, so we watched The Batman, directed by Matt Reeves. I'll give you a quick synopsis. In his second year of fighting crime, Batman uncovers corruption in Gotham City that connects to his own family while facing a serial killer known as the Riddler. So the ratings for this movie are pretty high. The Rotten Tomato critic score is 85%. The audience score is 91%. IMDb is 8.7. The movie had a budget of 185 to 200 million. The projected opening weekend box office is 120 million plus, which actually blew out the water of Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins, which only had like 50 something million on its opening weekend, which is pretty cool. And with that, what did we think about the movie, guys?
It was like,
Parker, you want to start, man?
I'm just kidding.
Dang, I feel honored. I liked it a lot. It has me pretty conflicted as to which Batman I liked better. I don't know. I have a man crush on Christian Bale, so I'm a little biased, but I think Robert Pattinson's starting to like pull me over. I really don't know. There were parts about it that I liked, parts I didn't like.
Yeah, I will say having Robert Pattinson as the new Bat, like when he was originally cast, I didn't expect him to, do as good of a job as he did, but he filled the role great coming off of Edward,
Yeah, see, my thing is like this. I Rob has been in so many movies since Twilight, and I feel so bad for the guy because it's so hard for this man to break out of his Twilight stigma, and he just keeps releasing such good movies. I mean, he was in Good Time, he's in Tenet, he's in The Lighthouse, like High Life. I think people are finally realizing that Robert Pattinson is a really good fucking actor, and it makes me happy to see. Because Robert Pattinson, I mean, when they announced him as Batman, yeah, like I was, I guess, kind of skeptical just because I couldn't see him as Batman, I guess. Because I was thinking of the more, Christian Bale portrayal of Batman. But yeah, I liked Robert a lot.
How do we like the rest of the cast? I saw Parker was looking at the cast list earlier, and he had no idea that the Penguin was played by Colin Farrell. He had absolutely no idea.
To be fair, dude, I don't think many of us knew that.
I don't think you could really look at him and tell.
I genuinely had no clue. He does not look like Colin Farrell.
And like his voice. The voice is unrecognizable. His face is unrecognizable.
Yeah, I remember it was a big deal when he did get cast. People were just like, why not just cast a guy that looks like that?
Yeah.
And, I'm not too upset about it because he did a really good job, I think.
He did.
No, I think he did great. Especially, I think the fact that I didn't know it was Colin Farrell speaks a lot to how good he did.
Yeah. Because it was odd. Like, it was just such a not Colin Farrell role.
No.
But yeah, he did. I loved it. I thought his portrayal was really, really good. And he was like the comedic relief too, which was cool.
True. When he waddled away.
Yeah.
One thing that kind of threw me off was Andy Serkis, though. Like, I think he did good.
I know what you mean.
It just wasn't. It wasn't Michael Caine.
Yeah, it was different. I know what you mean. Because I thought Andy Serkis did a really, really good job as Alfred. His Alfred was a little different than, the last Batman trilogy. But I thought it was unique and interesting and cool.
Yeah, see, I didn't expect to like Andy Serkis because, I feel like you developed such a big connection to like Michael Caine being Alfred. And I don't know, like he's exactly what I envisioned, right? When I watched the comics or like when I watched like the animated series. So seeing Andy Serkis was different, but I think he did a really good job of acting through this role. And like, he seemed like, Bruce Wayne's dad in a way. He tried to take on that role. So
yeah,
and I mean, the rest of the cast did a great job. I thought that the cast list was like almost perfect. I mean, I thought everyone that they had here did a really good job, except maybe the girl that played Bella Real, the new mayor. It was a little like cringy.
She was kind of cheesy,
but like all the main roles I thought were great. The Riddler. Jeffrey Wright as James Gordon, I could not.
Oh,
I could not see him as anything other than what was his name?
Bernard.
Yes, Bernard.
Westworld.
Yeah. Westworld. Yeah. But no, I thought everyone was great. Colin Farrell also did a great job. I look forward to seeing him in the next movies.
Yeah, whoever did the casting for this, great job. Awesome casting.
I also think Zoe Kravitz definitely lived up to Halle Berry's like performance of Catwoman.
Halle Berry's.
I mean, dude, yeah.
That was one of my biggest problems with the movie was the romance with Catwoman and Batman because it was rushed. I felt like when she. Are we doing spoilers here?
No.
No spoilers.
We'll wait a little bit.
Okay. Well, just the romance that happens here. I think it's obvious from the trailer that there's going to be some kind of sexual tension between Catwoman and Batman, but the way it pans out is just a little rushed in my opinion and didn't really make much sense as to how we got there.
So my thing is, because I've seen a lot of people talking about this, about the romance between Batman and the cats. And I don't know why people really read it as a romance when, I mean, I don't think you really need to read it as a like textbook romance sort of thing when if they just have sexual tension in the air because they're two sexy people, like it doesn't mean they have to be in love. And so many people were like upset about, you know, yeah, like the relationship moving quick. Why are you reading it as a relationship? Why can't they just, you know, have little flings?
You know, that's actually.
I guess you're right. Yeah,
because especially with like how they're introducing, you know, like Zoe Kravitz as bisexual, as Catwoman being bisexual. Like,
yeah,
it actually fits really well with what you're saying.
I mean, Catwoman is like a sexual character. She uses like her sex a lot to like get what she wants, to like get people and stuff. And yeah, I mean,
I will say the only part that did throw me off, like Christian was saying, that felt rushed, is you think about she just saw her friend get brutally. Something happens to her.
Okay.
This outline's useless. God dang it.
Anyways, there's a very tense part in it, and then she recovers like on a dime, and you're like, okay,
and
like
I'll go down tooth and nail defending this movie, but a lot of people use the loss of a partner, whether it be death or, you know, like a breakup or something, they use sex to get out of it. And Catwoman is a very sexual person. And I mean, if any character were to use sex to get their mind off of something happening to somebody they loved, it would be Catwoman.
True. That is a very good point.
Yeah.
How do we feel about the Riddler?
I liked it all right. He had pretty good background. Like his like villain origin story seems like
Such a build-up.
more like justified than a lot of like, I don't know, for example, like Marvel movies. Some of their villains feel like paper, like fake, but he felt pretty real.
No, I definitely think like with like a detective like noir Batman type thing that this was going for. The Riddler felt very believable in the world.
Yeah.
Not necessarily grounded in like realism, like a lot of things that the Nolan Batman trilogy tried to do, because a lot of this stuff is kind of goofy in the movie if you actually think about it. But I think the world they were able to create in this film makes everything work together really well. And one of those is being the Riddler, who is technically just like, there's a Letterboxd review, and there's just like, man, Batman went to war with a Redditor who had a following.
He literally did.
Yeah.
But Paul Dano's great. I absolutely love Paul Dano. And when he got cast as the Riddler, I was like, dude, that's... The cast, honestly, speaking of also the Nolan trilogy, the Nolan trilogy has like 5 Oscar winners, but I think this might be the best like overall cast in a Batman movie. I don't want to like compare Batman
I think this
whole time,
this
but
definitely had like the best supporting cast. Like the villains and everyone felt fleshed out.
Mm-hmm.
They did. I mean, every single role that was any sort of something, amazing, like acting throughout the book.
I know you said you didn't want to compare Batmans, but
It's hard not to.
I think the Riddler for this one was just a slightly bit better than Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey?
no, but 2 different Riddlers. Man.
No, dude,
There's
Jim
even
Carrey.
two
I can agree.
Jim Carrey was way scarier than Paul Dano.
Yeah, fuck Jim Carrey, guys.
Jim Carrey hater,
But
man.
going back to what you were saying about like Detective Batman here, that a lot of people were complaining about the pacing, right, of this movie. People were saying the pacing was bad, but when you follow the Riddler's plot from like Detective Batman's perspective, it takes him a while to figure out what's going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I liked how they didn't just spoon feed you answers, and like every time you think you got it figured out, it's like the Riddler just smacks you in the face with another riddle, if you would.
Yeah, with the pacing issues, I can see that because I would say like the first hour and a half or so is really good, and I think it kind of unravels the longer it goes. Because there's multiple parts in this where you think the movie's going to end, and then it just keeps going for another like 30 minutes or so. Not necessarily complaining, because I didn't want this movie ever to end, but yeah, it did have a little bit as far as that goes. It was kind of like loose and how I wanted to end things.
Yeah, I actually really liked, like, I thought the Riddler was a very good villain in this movie because he was scary and his motives were just enough to make him make sense, but there was never, like, he was never rational, right, in how he handled situations, and I thought that, like, really played into, you know, like, the eventual end of the movie, right, like, what he does in the end. There's a big climax and build up to it, and he, like, lives up to it. I think it was a very fleshed out plot in this movie, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. And he really feeds into, he's really the villain that we needed to show what they wanted to do with Robert Pattinson's Batman, because it really fleshes out all of his mental health struggles that he's going through, and the Riddler just plays with him. And it really drives him, because he's been dealing with the trauma from losing his parents his whole life, right? And I think the Riddler just brings all of those emotions back to him and forces him to deal with them. And I feel like it's really, like, one of Batman's biggest struggles in this movie is trying to figure out if what he's doing is working. Like, is it worth it to continue to be justice, right? Like, is it worth it? And by the end of this movie, after dealing with all the riddles from the Riddler and everything that the Riddler's made him face, and I feel like it's a good victory for him in the end, as far as for his mental health and moving forward.
I'll actually go from the outline. Did you guys think the movie was too serious?
No.
Because it's been a thing on there's been a lot of complaints on film Twitter and also just people reviewing it, where they think either this movie is too serious for the time that it's released, or that superhero movies don't need to be that serious because they're superhero movies and they're kind of ridiculous to begin with.
Here's the thing, is I thought this movie did a really good job of giving you comedic relief, but it was like it's intelligent comedic relief.
It's not
right?
in your face like, hey, now laugh.
It's dry, witty humor.
There's nobody laughing. There's no laugh track to go with it, and I think that it's like great because it for one, like Christian was saying, like Batman as a detective, right? Like, he's thinking, like, he's smart and he's witty, and they're kind of trying to flesh that out a little bit more with Robert Pattinson. I think they did a great job. I mean, I thought, like, there was good comedic relief. It never felt, like, hard to watch or like it was taking itself too serious or being too brooding.
You know, if you're complaining about this movie being too serious, then you need to find something else to do besides complain.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know how you can be upset about a movie being too serious. That's just pure entitlement.
This movie was meant to be dark and gloomy. You know, like,
if the movie was not what you wanted it to be because it was too serious and you wanted a different tone, but you weren't the filmmaker.
Right. Like, it did that on purpose.
Like, it's not like it was accidentally serious. It was on purpose.
And, you know, even if the seriousness did take away from some grand, like, Marvel climax finish that everyone's used to, who cares? You know, like, it is what it is. It was made exactly how it was supposed to be made.
Yeah, and I don't think you need to, like, you know, compare it to that in terms of, well, all these movies are not serious, so this one shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Why do you just want the textbook cookie cutter movie?
Exactly. It was a nice change of pace, and I feel Robert Pattinson, he fit that role perfectly as well, honestly.
I really liked the fresh take. It was kind of nice. It was like, it felt, I don't know, not like grounded in reality, but it felt like not as made up, if that makes sense. Like, it wasn't, you know, it didn't have that superhero filter. It felt more,
it was more
realistic.
believable. Yeah, like a person dealing with the backlash of being a hero.
Yeah, I wrote it in my notes. I don't know if you guys agree, but this is like the first Batman film I've watched where I realized, Batman seems much more like a vigilante than like a superhero.
Yeah.
He seems much more like someone who is like out of Watchmen, like out of the Watchmen universe, where they're just people and they're just trying to fight crime rather than it being Batman who's like indestructible.
I think that's what I liked a lot about it is like, because they took it more in the vigilante route instead of the superhero who only does good route. Because, I mean, I hate to talk about superheroes and realism, but I mean, in a realistic setting, like if you had people that were doing masked vigilante things, these are things that they would consider. I mean, you'd consider the consequences of your actions. Are people going out and committing these crimes because there is a vigilante and they want to see him? It's cool. It's a cool little moral ethical dilemma thing that goes on, and I thought that them touching on it was really interesting.
For sure. Just the fear of the bat signal in this was pretty cool as well.
All right, I want to touch on 2 more points for. I know we want to talk about specifics
Before we go free thought mode.
Yeah. It's both two technical things. Both the score and the cinematography in this movie are absolutely insane.
So good.
This movie is so freaking pretty, and Greg Fraser did such a good job. He's about to be one of my favorite cinematographers because of he did Dune. And then he does this. Those are 2 pretty good back-to-backs, man.
Those are 2
Dune
pretty good.
is probably going to win Best Cinematography. Maybe. It's a good contender for the Oscars. And then this one, I don't know how the Academy will treat this movie because it's so early on.
Yeah.
But he did such a damn good job. And then the score has been stuck in my head. How do you say the guy's name? Is it Michael
Giacchino?
Giacchino?
I think so.
That's been stuck in my head since we watched it on Friday.
Dude, I was thinking the exact same thing. Literally, like, while we were watching the movie, I was like, this score, just... Because I feel like it's so underrated in movies nowadays.
It
like,
is.
especially when you're watching the Marvel movies, like, it's good, but it's never like Dune. Dune was crazy. And this movie gave me-
have like a good score
Yes.
when you remember it, because I feel like we just overlook scores
Yeah.
most of the time.
And it's one of those things, like, it's so good it fades in, and you're like, it's fine. But for this one, it was like, I was actively thinking about how enthralled I was in this movie because the music was just bringing me in.
It also, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but it's like almost always there. The Batman theme is like almost always there throughout the whole thing, even if it's real quiet.
fades in
Slight
and out.
iterations of it, like slightly different compositions.
And like
of
anytime he's walking up real slow to anything.
And it's also impressive because, like, I never got tired of it.
No, every time it
I never
came
said
in,
no stop. Yeah, I was like, dude, this is
every time
great.
it came
Like, I'm
in, I
enjoying
was
this.
like, yeah. No, but seriously, like the score is so good. I mean, Michael Giacchino is really good. The dude did Coco. He did Up. He did Star Trek, Ratatouille, The Incredibles.
Ratatouille.
Yup.
True dramas right
So
there.
he's a
Jojo Rabbit.
Pixar man.
That is
mean-
a rap sheet.
The dude is a multi-award winning composer, and like, I mean, he popped off on this one because, I mean, it really is crazy because if you really think about it, I mean, it was the Batman theme and then a song that already existed with something in the way. And the Batman theme, it's literally just slight iterations of it with the main melody being there the whole time. And when you just like can carry a 3-hour movie with a theme and play the theme so much and still it's good, it's pretty fucking impressive.
Okay, we want to get into spoilers?
Yeah,
Okay.
spoilers.
Okay.
Because we didn't spoil already.
Yeah.
As if I,
Yeah, that's okay. That's kind of a minor one.
Remember the devastating
It's not
death
huge.
of
Brutal.
Here, we
She
can,
was brutally
Something happened.
loved.
we'll start with the beginning so we have some continuity. I will say the 2 opening sequences in this movie made me extremely glad that it was 3 hours long. The first opening sequence where Batman is narrating over Gotham and how he's been doing this for 2 years, and where he very cornerly says, "I am the shadows," and all the criminals, when they see the bat signal, are looking into the pitch black, thinking Batman's there.
it was fucking badass.
Dude, that was so
fucking
dope.
cool, bro. It was so cool.
So dope.
Yeah, like using fear as the superpower is pretty gnarly.
I had goosebumps.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude.
I had goosebumps for like the majority of this movie with it being so pretty with the score.
When that happened, I was like, dude, 5 stars.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great.
The opening monologue, that thing was so good.
When you can tell, especially even with the Riddler's opening before that, which I was surprised they honestly started with the Riddler other than Batman, but just by watching those 2 sequences and like how much attention they put into detail of just those 2, like you could tell this movie was going to be good, that they weren't going to flop it.
Mm-hmm.
No way it flops, right?
No. This I think it makes.
We're not going to see the porno.
No, I think it.
Sadly,
I think it makes
bro.
close to a Billy, man. That's my guess.
It was incredible.
And I think people are talking about it too, which helps it a lot.
Oh, yeah.
People are talking about it on Twitter about it being different, which makes people want to go see it. So,
Yeah, no, speaking of, like the Riddler and stuff in this movie, I thought anytime, like all the deaths that he did too, the one with the rat, like all these were brutal, like this is like a real like serial killer. This is a guy that doesn't, like I said earlier, like he's not rational, and it made him more terrifying. And like, that's why everybody was so afraid. What is he going to do next? That's, he had the whole city like wrapped around his finger.
He was a real terrorist.
Logical. He was, yeah.
yeah, he was literally just a terrorist. I mean, he was just going against corrupt politicians and political figures. And that is cool, believable. And I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. He had the best motives.
Yeah.
It felt like they took a page out of like Criminal Minds. You know how they're always so like detailed with their killings and mysteries and stuff. It kind of felt like a little bit of Criminal Minds.
Well, I definitely think Matt Reeves definitely was inspired by like David Fincher to do these both. And David Fincher has 2 movies, Zodiac and Seven, which this has been compared to quite a bit. The Riddler is definitely a lot like the Zodiac Killer with all the ciphers he would send with like, URL and thumb drive. Speaking of comedy, that was pretty funny.
The thumb drive.
Wasn't
See,
it though?
like there's so many moments like that where it's just like intelligent, dry humor, and I mean that's funnier than just like in your face slapstick comedy.
Yeah. Well, and I thought it was funny too because like you see Batman and he's like, there should be a USB drive.
Yeah,
and you're
Gordon's like, what are you looking for?
And
Yeah.
you're like, what? And then he looks down and he goes, thumb drive. Like, I started laughing in the theater, man. I thought that was great. And that's it adds to that thing, right? Like this movie it's intelligent humor. It's not just like in your face, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
What did what's his name? Jeffrey Wright. James Gordon.
Yeah.
What did he say when he got the thumb drive? He was like, "This guy's fucking funny, isn't he?"
Yeah.
That was
I don't
like the
remember.
exact
Something
line
like
he
that.
said.
Yeah.
I think it's like, "This guy's fucking hilarious."
Oh yeah, he did say that.
And the other thing was I didn't realize this movie was PG-13. They did a very good job.
I didn't either until after. I thought it was rated R.
They pushed that PG-13 boundary
This
so
is one
far.
of the best, like, it was the most well done PG-13 movie I've seen in a while because it didn't feel like it was neutered in any way.
Yeah.
Dude,
They left it,
They pushed that
what it should
boundary as much as they could.
I would have totally said this was rated R. I did not realize that.
I feel like it's because those action scenes are just so visceral,
Uh-huh.
and Batman's literally pounding people to a pulp. Now talk type shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm vengeance, and he's just bashed someone's brains in, even though not dead though. They're not dead.
Not dead. Not
They're not
dead.
dead.
Sleeping.
Yes.
But yeah.
I can't imagine people want to take their kids to see this movie.
Dude, that was what I was thinking about the whole movie was how much weight these punches felt like they had.
Yeah, that's something that like I wanted to talk about is the sound design on this. The sound design on this was so good. And I mean, us seeing it in IMAX helped a lot too. But I mean, right when the movie starts and just like the thudding footsteps at the very beginning.
All those heavy footsteps. Dude.
Oh my god. I got goosebumps right now. But like the sound design, the punches, I mean, you feel like the weight behind everything. And it's so good.
I will say it's very funny how we're like an hour into this or something like that, and we have not talked about the action. The action in this movie was phenomenal. It was great.
really good.
Another thing in Marvel, I guess it's not Marvel specific, but like action movies recently, I found like they do a lot of cuts, and in this movie, they did a really good job of keeping you honed in on Batman and what how he's punching, and like I felt the weight of everything in this movie. The action scenes I thought were incredible. The car chase scene too.
Car chase scene is really
The
good.
penguin.
Yeah, the chase was super cool.
Yeah.
It was so chaotic and like the filming was chaotic, but I mean, yeah,
And it felt, I thought it was funny. It's kind of a little detail when the penguin rides that dude's ass. And I was like, this dude's a dick. Not because he's like, killing all these people, but I'm like, he's riding this man's ass.
Why is he on this man's ass?
Yo, the scene when it was dark and all you could see was the muzzle flash.
Yeah,
and
that was really
you could
cool.
see him moving between people during
Yeah.
the muzzle flashes.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Oh yeah,
That one I was like very hyped for.
Yeah,
you think
the
those
action-
contacts are night vision?
Sure. Hey, it's fucking
Because
Batman.
when all the lights went off, like he was kicking their ass,
Bro,
but
he's
he couldn't
the
see
Batman,
either.
He's got echolocation. He's a bat.
He's a bat.
He is a bat.
Shit, what was I gonna say?
Sorry, I cut you off.
But like, I feel like it's just another one of those things, right? Like, we've been talking about this movie and how good it was, and we weren't even talking about the action.
I know.
This is a superhero movie, right? Like, it's supposed to be bound on its its action scenes and stuff like that. But the crime and the detective work and the mystery in this movie did just as much for me as the action superhero part.
Well, yeah, that's one of the good things about having the Riddler is it definitely makes it more of a thought-provoking and focuses on the Batman's wits rather than just him being big and strong man.
Yeah, I think the Riddler was. I mean, that character was literally put there for Matt Reeves. I feel like because he wanted to take this in that noir direction, and the Riddler was just the perfect catalyst to let him do that. Because the Riddler is not just somebody you can go hand to hand and fight. I mean, you got to use your brain a little bit. What I was gonna say earlier about the action, like talking more about the camera work, like Alex said, just because, like most movies do use cuts and stuff to hide the sloppiness, I guess, that comes along with action stuff and trying to make it look believable. And they just go, super cut mode to try and show you the chaoticness, I guess, of the action. But the maturity in this movie to use like steady cam shots when there was fist pounding going on. It reminded me a lot of, I don't know if you guys have ever played like the Batman video games, but like I love those video games. That's why I like Batman a lot. And the action reminded me a lot of like the Batman video games from a couple of years ago. Because like just steady camera and just like going back and forth from person to person with like minimal cuts. It reminded me a lot of the video games.
Yeah.
You got to have good choreography for that.
Yeah.
That's a testament to them.
Uh-huh.
But even the camera work, I just thought about this in the chase scene in the cars. I think something really cool that they did that I noticed while we were watching it is most of the shots were like they were cameras connected to the cars, so it made you feel like you were actually in there with them. And I think there's only a couple shots where they were actually like away from the car and they were just tracking it. But I thought that was a really cool way to make you feel like you're there and maybe like up the tension a little bit.
I don't know if there were any.
There was.
There were?
There was, yeah, because I specifically remember them just having, they weren't moving the camera, but they were just had the Penguin's cargo and then Batman's cargo, and they just tracked it.
Okay.
A lot of the car stuff and like the bike stuff too. I keep making weird, obscure comparisons, but like every single time there was a bike scene or like the car scenes, it reminded me a lot of like those old like Red Bull driving videos of like the people drifting through like city streets and stuff. And it's filmed like kind of like a movie, but it's like real. It reminded me a lot of that because like it was filmed like it was like somebody, actually doing it and not like a movie. Like it wasn't overhead shots of the action. Like it was like a GoPro was strapped onto the side of the car, which was really cool and unique and interesting.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about the Batmobile? It's very different from Nolan's.
It was fucking sick.
It's pretty cool.
I like that it's grounded in reality though, right? Like it's this muscle car that he's like souped up, and I feel like it's what a billionaire would do, right? I mean, the jet engine on the back's a little goofy, but like it kind of needs to be goofy. Like it's Batman,
Yeah,
it needs to have something extra.
Yeah, that's also one of the, like I said earlier about how everything fits in the world. Like the Gotham is like it's modern day, but it also feels very much like stuck in like the 90s. And his Batmobile feels much more like a 90s car rather than like Nolan's like tank thing that he had.
Yeah.
which is really cool. And even the engine is like goofy and stuff.
It was kind of a nice homage to like the traditional Batmobile too.
Yeah, much more like thin, and because the original one has that big thing back there too, doesn't it?
Yeah, the big old.
It reminds me of like the old, like maybe not F1 style, but like the big cylinder type car with the jet engine on the back.
The big old jet turbine.
Like comic books and stuff.
You know what I was thinking during the car scene when we were watching it? When the semis start going down, I was thinking, what if his car gets stuck? Like, trapped, and like he can't move his car. Like, people are gonna find the Batmobile, be like, what the fuck is this thing? That was just what I was thinking. I was like, what if he gets in a traffic jam here that he can't actually get out of?
He got a gadget for that, bro. Don't worry.
I know he does, but like, just imagine, what if?
He plans on that.
It's a new storyline. They just discover
Batman gets stuck in traffic trying to chase people.
exactly.
He just stops in bumper to bumper traffic, and he's like, "Well, I guess I lost him."
Increases movie runtime by an hour.
Yes.
The
Just stuck in 5
realistic,
o'clock traffic.
the realistic traffic jam sequence.
Talk about grounded in reality.
Did you guys see Elon said today that solving traffic problems is the biggest problem for self-driving cars?
I did see that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Perfect Batman movie news.
Thanks for the Elon plug.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Speaking of traffic,
One thing I want to talk about, and Hunter's brought it up, and I think you also brought it up in your review too, Hunter, is this is more not a specific point in the film, but the overall like arc of Batman. I thought it was really cool how he starts off the film with his main goal is just to inspire fear in criminals so they don't do it. And obviously that's not working because crime's been up since he started it 2 years ago. And he realizes by the end of the film that when one of the Riddler's henchmen Redditors says he's vengeance, like how Batman's been saying he's vengeance the whole time. And he says it, I think, in a voiceover too, how he realizes vengeance isn't what they need. They need someone to like inspire hope in them. And I thought it was really cool. The next 2 scenes after that, after the flooding, literally the next scene, he uses a flare in the dark to guide people out to like safety. So like he's not like hiding in the shadows anymore. He's actually being a light for the people. And then also when they're on top of the stadium, it's in the light of day. It's not like in the dark. It's not in the shadows. And he's like physically carrying someone to safety, and they like don't want to let him go and stuff. I thought that was really cool.
yeah, he like carried them from the broken underbelly, if you will, of Gotham, from the darkness up to the light of the roof.
But yeah, just thought that was really cool. And
Yeah.
they've kind of discussed that in previous Batman films too. I do know that I keep talking about how I don't want to compare him, but Nolan's Batman, it's kind of that way in The Dark Knight, except it's Batman's still the fear guy, but what's his name? Two-Face. What's Two-Face's actual name?
Harvey Dent.
Harvey Dent is the guy to inspire hope, not Batman.
Yeah.
Did we have anything we didn't like about the movie? We've been talking about a bunch of positives. Do we want to be negative Nancy's?
Yeah, I will say, like, as much as I'm praising it, some like, and I talked about this with Christian in the car, like I never felt like they pinned hard enough on anything. I wasn't like totally enthralled with the movie. I thought the action was great. Like I can talk about how awesome I thought it was, but like I was never believing it was like Batman for some reason. Like I was never just like completely into this like I was like Spider-Man or Dune or like
It's because it never had that epic moment, you know? Like it was a slow burn to get to the finish, I guess, but the finish wasn't necessarily as grand because you'd been anticipating it for so long, and maybe you even thought that one of the previous riddles was going to be the end. So it's just kind of, I think that kind of took away from the grand ending but it didn't need to be grand in my opinion, but I see what you mean.
I think one thing that kind of made it that way was there was no like Batman origin story.
Right.
Like in Nolan's Batman, like Batman Begins, you get to see him in the cave with all the bats and everything. But like in this one, it just starts I'm Batman. I've been Batman for 2 years. So maybe that didn't pull in some people. I don't know.
I mean, if you've never seen any Batman before going into this, that may have been a little off-putting, but I feel like most people know the origin story of Batman. So
Yeah. It was just like, because I think I compared this a lot to The Dark Knight. So there were some things that didn't hit as hard. And plus, not saying the Joker was kind of weird, but I think that was a good choice for this movie. I don't think that was bad. Like, there weren't a whole lot of bad choices. It wasn't something that, like, was a, amazing movie.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of the Joker, do you think Joaquin Phoenix will be the Joker in this universe?
Sadly, before we say that, talk about the Joker, because that is something I want to talk about. I don't have too many nitpicks with this, other than I kind of wish that the Riddler and Alfred were in it more, because Alfred's only in a couple scenes. He's not a big influence in it, and that I think it might be a little cool or a little better if they do show their dynamic a little more. Although you clearly understand that Alfred's his father figure, and they have big emotional moments, especially towards the end when Alfred's in the hospital. Mm-hmm. And I understand why they don't have Paul Dano in it more, because like sometimes less is more with that, and you want the Riddler to be menacing, I guess, but he's actually not that menacing. And once you get to know him, and once like the mask is taken off. Mm-hmm. But as far as the Joker, the one thing I am actually scared about is that ending scene. That was the Joker. I don't know if you realize that.
I really hope,
but
it's not. But
it is, because it's Barry Keoghan.
Yeah.
He showed up to the premiere in purple and green. And I honestly don't want to see the Joker. I'm kind of Joker fatigued. I don't want to see him again.
I thought it was funny because he had some, I can't remember the line, but he had, when he was giving his little monologue, he had some line about how a character that's been done so many times that people are tired of him. He's talking about like villains in Gotham City, but that was them literally making fun of themselves for bringing the Joker back.
Yeah, they can. If they have like a trilogy, he can be in the third movie or something. I don't want him to be the next movie. That's the only, because like I love how this movie started this universe with the Pat the Bat, yeah,
Pat the Bat.
But I think I might like the sequel a lot less if it's the Joker, to be honest. Like they've in media tours that they've had, or press tours for this. I know Paul Dano and Robert Pattinson have talked about Court of Owls a lot. I don't know if you guys know what that is. I actually looked it up because they kept talking about it, and they were like, Court of Owls is the best comic. I don't know exactly like the whole plot, but a story like that would fit a lot better into the universe I think they're trying to create, and also it's a fresh take on things as opposed to just another Joker. We've had like 4 Jokers if we have a Joker in the sequel in close to like a decade and a half, with Nolan's, and then Joaquin Phoenix's, and the Suicide Squad, and then this. So that's kind of a lot.
My thing is too, like, if you're gonna do it, like I really liked Joaquin Phoenix's portrayal. Like, he had motive, the dude can act, and it felt real. If you use anyone except him, I think I'm just gonna be indignant and not like him based on that fact. Like, the Joker was such a well-received movie, I think, by most people, that it's going to be hard to put Barry Keoghan?
It's something like that.
To put Barry
yeah.
to put Barry in here and make me like him. So I agree. I mean, and it'd be nice to have someone that isn't, to take a fresh look at Batman and use a different villain for once.
All right. Do we want to get into our reviews?
No, I got a Letterboxd rating.
Oh, okay.
Or a Letterboxd review.
Letterboxd reading.
That's not in the outline.
Yeah, no, it's
yeah,
not.
come on, Brayden.
I got to surprise you. All right. So this is Lindsay Romaine. She gave it 4 stars. She says, there's a moment where Bruce Wayne puts on sunglasses before eating blueberries in his ornate Gothic penthouse, and I thought to myself, this is exactly how it should be.
Dude, that was so fire. Because that scene, when that happened, I was like, damn, that is Robert Pattinson Batman right there. In his Gothic penthouse, eating some fucking blueberries with his sunglasses on inside.
His little rectangle sunglasses.
Yeah, the Gucci sunglasses.
All right, but yeah, that's all I had. Sorry.
All right. We doing ratings?
Parker, you want to go first, man? Because you'll
Take
mess
the
up
floor.
I get to go first?
Yes.
Wow. So I think on Letterboxd I gave it a 4.5 stars. So I think I'm just gonna stick with that. I really like the movie, so I'm gonna give it a 90%.
All right, Alex.
Well, like I said, this movie did like I liked it. It just was never like tipped over that edge of being like an amazing movie or something that I'll like remember forever. So I give it 4. I'm gonna give it an 88%. I think it was good, but not the best movie ever.
What did you give it for your letterbox rating, Christian?
I gave it a 4.5. I really liked this movie. Not quite enough to give it a 5, but it's really close. I'm going to give it a 94%. And I think that besides Spider-Man, might be like my highest rated superhero movie. So, all right. Hunter?
Do I go now?
Yeah.
Okay. It's been a long time. Yeah, so I was very excited for the Batman when this teaser came out. I mean, I don't even know how long it's been since then. What, like at least 2 years? But when this movie got announced, I was super excited. I try not to get like excited about movies until I'm like in the theater, because if I get excited, then I just have to wait. And when this movie started, I kind of got reminded about how excited I was for it. Matt Reeves is an amazing director. The man has literally never made a bad movie. He's done 2 Planet of the Apes movies, Cloverfield. The movie was everything I wanted it to be. It was my favorite superhero movie, if you can call it a superhero movie, that I've ever seen. I'm going to give it a nice big old 97%.
Nice.
Damn.
Nice. All right.
You haven't been...
Brayden, I'm doing it.
You've been calculating this
I'm
the whole
about to.
time?
I'm doing it right now. Hey, you go for it, Brayden. I got you.
All right. I'll just go with 90. I liked it. Would recommend. Would watch again.
Yes.
Good movie.
Watch this. It's very, very good. Don't watch it with your kids.
Makes me want to watch other Robert Pattinson movies.
I want to watch
Yeah.
this again already.
I know, I do too.
Yeah.
Right when it ended, I was like, man, I want to watch that again.
Honestly, I think that if I watched it again, I might give it a higher score.
Did you give it a 90?
Yeah.
But
Let's go watch it tonight.
We're going tonight.
I have obligations. I have brunch tonight.
I have brunch tonight. Sorry.
All right, guys. So with Parker being a part of the, what do we call it? The cheese meter score. It's been too long. We have a better interpretation of an average here. And we get a 91.8% for the Batman.
We're with the audience on this one.
We are slightly above the critics, which we found out is kind of a tough process. We'll get there one day.
Not
though.
technically critics, guys. Not yet.
We're
Not
not Rotten
yet.
Tomato certified, but we will be soon.
One day. Just that's why we need you guys to leave your reviews, because we need 200 of them so we can get Rotten Tomato certified.
You can just make your own Rotten Tomatoes website.
Yeah.
Okay, Parker.
I got you.
All right.
I got you.
Yeah, true.
That's enough.
Parker can code it. We can make the cheese meter an official recognized score.
I can do it.
All right. We have anything else we want to say?
Robert Pattinson, sexy.
Yeah.
All right.
Seconded.
All right.
I third the motion.
I'm very questioning right now.
We all become more bisexual as the days go by with these movies.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening. Sorry it's been so long since our last episode. We'll try to be more consistent from here. But if you like what you heard today, go ahead and like the video if you're on YouTube, or leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow us on Instagram at the PodRats and on Twitter at _PodRats.
So for a follow, or if you don't follow us, we'll do what the Batman does, and we'll beat you up until you can't move, and then we'll say, "Now follow."
No follow.
Now follow.
No follow.
Okay. Well, we appreciate your support, and we'll be back next week with a few movies we saw back in February. But until then, put yourself first and take care of each other, guys. Bye.
Bye.